In this episode of my tour series, I invite you to explore behind the scenes of newspaper production at Ouest-France, the country's top daily.
Hello, Alexandre Calvez. Welcome to Ouest-France. I'm Juliette, and I'll be here to guide you during this visit. I suggest we start with the press wall. Here you can see all 41 editions of Ouest-France. They all appear identical. Well, actually, that's because the first pages are the international and national pages, so they're all the same. And actually, depending on which edition the person buys, the pages won't be the same. So we'll have the regional pages, whether it's Brittany, Pays de la Loire, Normandy, and then after that we have the local pages, so they're closest to the towns.
To start our journey into how a newspaper is made, she took me to the newsroom, which is obviously where the source of information is, meaning the journalists.
It's on a hub about 2,000 square meters, making it one of Europe's largest hubs. We have several different departments, and in total at Ouest-France there are about 700 journalists.
They're never all there at once, and some work remotely, but during the day around 100 journalists may be on site. You might think it's total chaos and noisy everywhere, like a financial trading floor, but it's not. They've set up a whole range of acoustic systems, whether on the ceiling or at the desks, to help reduce noise levels and allow everyone to work in peace. Do some people work days and others nights? Are there shift changes?
When do they start? Often as early as 7 a.m. It depends on the departments and the information they handle, but it goes until 11 p.m., so rotations ensure everyone can rest. We also work remotely 2 to 3 days a week, so people can work differently. Or we can also be out in the field, investigating.
Yes, of course, there are those who are here in the offices, and then there are also correspondents, I suppose. Outside.
In France, but also abroad. We have about 30 correspondents, whether they're in Canada, Japan, or the United States, to be able to relay information. Our journalists can't rest because new information is constantly posted online, sometimes every 30 minutes.
Yes, because there's the newspaper, which is fixed, and the website, where everything is updated 24/7. This famous hub is divided into several areas, where journalists are grouped by themes or specialties. For example, there's one for the day desk with investigations and obituaries, another for sports, magazines, and breaking news. And I see that there are screens with other media outlets. So you monitor everything constantly, yes?
That's right. They had information we may not have received immediately.
And vice versa. They do the same thing on their end.
Here you can see the number of people currently viewing the app or website in real time.
So right now, there are a few tens of thousands. That's exactly right. In the center of the newsroom, there's a large meeting table. That's where the department heads meet several times a day to decide what will go into the newspaper.
We met just a little before noon to start planning tomorrow's newspaper. That's when we really get into the details, with each department head present saying what's on their agenda, what's planned, what's new, and that's when we decide and make the final calls.
They specifically choose where the topics will go on the different pages of the newspaper. What will they put on the front page or on the inside pages? And of course, if other news comes in the meantime, they can hold meetings again throughout the day with the people involved to adjust it until the very last moment.
Everything must be sent out when it comes to the print pages. Everything must be sent out by 9:30 post-meridium.
All right.
That's really the final deadline. Everything must be sent out by 9:30 post-meridium, which means we don't send everything at 9:30 post-meridium. It needs to be spread out. But the last page must be sent out by 9:30 post-meridium. If something important happens after 9:30 post-meridium, we can take the pages back and modify them. We do it regularly.
We do it until 9:30 post-meridium. Just reprint a page as needed.
We don't just reprint. Since the editions are not all printed at the same time, we will modify the editions that are not the same.
Some parts will be up to date, while others won't.
This Rennes edition, for example, which is printed late at night, can be more up to date than the Mayenne version that will be printed.
Especially when the topics are defined. They are also arranged on a kind of newspaper layout, which is displayed on a huge touch screen and allows them to place the elements however they want.
We go through the rundown of the Journal du Monde towards the local community, and so actually our pages are made up of columns. There are 6 of them clearly shown, with topics in 4 columns. Tomorrow you'll have a 4-column piece on Rwanda, and the topics that were considered not necessarily less important, but in any case that can be condensed. These are topics that take up two columns, but still, there are topics that deserve 6 columns. Absolutely, so that's tomorrow's topic, Europe. Seen from Réunion, you might think it will even take up the whole page. Yes, possibly. Here are the pages found in all Ouest-France editions. The last page, culture, and thematic pages. Tomorrow, Thursday, there will be a page on science. We also have a page on land and a bit of sea mobility, and a page for interaction with our readers.
So, each time there's the person in charge of the section title, and the topics that will be included in it. Okay? Absolutely. Yes, very clear. Once everything's ready, our team will take over and lay it out. With photos and titles that not only match the articles, but also make the reader want to take an interest in them. That's Adrian's role, who's handling the front page today. So when assembling the front page, do you choose the photo or do journalists provide it?
There are several cases, but we're always surrounded by photographers whose job it is to be here daily. We have someone from the photo library who especially manages our archives, who can provide us with photos that have already appeared in the newspaper or not on the front page.
That are in your database?
That's exactly it, and we also have a photographer who will be in charge, either of collecting the photos of the day,
Possibly buying them, that's it?
possibly buying them. Photos from agencies we work with, especially Agence France Presse.
Reuters and the headline, so you made that decision yourself.
So I work on it, then we review it with the day editor-in-chief and make adjustments throughout the evening.
I noticed you kept the article about the overseas territories nearby, rereading it and exploring different angles.
So there you go. It's a report that will be made up of 3 articles, so I'll have all 3 articles. There will be one about the meeting in Guyana and an interview with Patrick Caner. So in itself, all 3 are related to the overseas territories, but from different angles, so I'll have to find them. So either we say, actually, our main article is about the meeting, and I only headline with this main article, or I connect all 3 and create a relevant headline. Covers overseas territories in all 3 topics. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge for today. For now, I have to say that I don't really have any idea yet about what I'm going to present tomorrow.
It's normal. I'm here causing a disturbance.
At first, I'm worried he might not have a newspaper tomorrow.
Once the pages are ready, they are printed for initial review and approval, especially by the editor-in-chief, who will make sure there are no little typos that slipped in.
All articles have arrived, been laid out, photos selected, and headlines discussed. Now here we are, we're doing a final proofread, and there are still a few small corrections to make. It can be really simple things. For example, here overseas, we have the word overseas twice in 2 headlines that are next to each other.
There you go, side by side. Obviously.
It wasn't really a mistake. The articles were written independently.
So they couldn't have known.
There you go, that's it.
You wanted to avoid that to prevent repetition while editing?
It's the kind of thing you notice here. For example, there's a little word wandering around on its own. We'll try to see if we can improve that at this final stage. It's really
Of
the adjustment to make it as good as possible.
And once the changes are made and the pages are ready, they are kept aside until the last moment to be sent to the printing house. But if, of course, there is a last-minute change to make or a new article to add, they are taken back and modified again. And when there are events that are scheduled, but you won't get the information until very late in the evening, how do you handle that? Do you prepare different versions and then choose the one that matches what actually happened?
No, we don't make different versions. That's the case for Gabriel Attal tonight, so he'll speak on TF 1 in 2 hours. Currently, Gal Flitor from the economics department is beginning preparations and can start now. For example, it's simply creating the file, putting a title with a photo already.
Background and elements already placed.
The context here is Attal, the Prime Minister, speaking on TF 1 while France. The government announced the deficit would be significant. She can already prepare these contextual elements for the rest, right? No, she'll decorate it on the spot, so what we need is to write quickly, but if already...
She's listening with both hands on the keyboard.
She'll be there at 8 p.m. in front of her screen, writing at the same time.
After that, we obviously headed to the printing section, since that's obviously the heart of the newspaper's production. It was also an opportunity for me to walk through the famous front page corridor.
You can stop here. This is the very first front page of Ouest-France, so it was published on August 7, 1944, so it's the first front page. Creation of Ouest-France began with the liberation of Rennes after the war.
The newspaper started then, even though one already existed, which was taken over or put on hold during the war.
Previously, we had the West Éclair, which began around 1899.
Even older.
It continued being published during the war. Of course, this wasn't allowed, so resistance fighters, specifically men, took it over.
They France?
There you go, they added France afterwards. You should know that originally it was a lawyer and an abbot who owned West Éclair. The newspaper was taken over by the lawyer's son and son-in-law, Paul Houtin de Grey and François de Greydieu.
And so here we have all the old front pages of the paper.
There you go, that's it. It stops at 2012 for the most notable front pages, since we haven't decided yet.
It's not history yet.
Let's say topics from the last decade. We arrive in front of this mural. It was created by Shaughness. He's our iconic press cartoonist. And actually, this will make a bit of a connection with the industry section. Now we're going to enter another part of the building. You'll see it's a little less modern. It's been the same since 1972 when we arrived, but it works very well. There we'll see the newspaper printing, the machines, and especially the large rotary presses.
It starts with printing the plates that will serve as a kind of stamp to print the newspaper sheets for each page. There are 4: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. By combining them, colors are recreated on paper.
So now we're arriving at the plate department. This is where they're made. You see it's a little yellow inside. Actually, it's simply because the plates are photosensitive, so they degrade. Otherwise, they would be damaged by daylight or neon lights. That's why we have this yellow color.
So the plates are metallic, and do they change them every time? They're reusable.
These are aluminum plates, and aluminum can be recycled indefinitely. We use a subcontractor for recycling, so they might become door handles or soda cans, for example.
The page files are sent directly from the editorial office to the area where the technicians will create and produce them. They work with the help of a computer that tells them which pages are ready, which ones are coming, and which ones are requested by the other teams involved in printing. They serve as a link between teams.
You sent a second version for the front page of...
Forlorn's front page, you have the TTG04 and the whole thing. Wait, she's checking. Thanks in advance, since I haven't heard from Kuduz yet. But I'm sure I sent it. Yes, number 4, that's good, thank you. See you later, so we're gonna pick up the plates that are coming out.
The plates are made by a brand you probably know called Fujifilm. They're known for their work in photography. The principle here is a bit similar to what was done in the past. We have a blank element that will go into a machine called a developer. And this machine, thanks to heat and chemical reactions, will create an imprint that will then be used for printing the newspaper. So, we have a screen that allows us to view the different stages of the engraving process live, and then it goes into a second machine which will fold and punch them so that they can be compatible with the rest of the machines in the printing process. Once the plates are ready, he batches and sends them to the other room. Thanks to a rather ingenious automated cart system, they are then collected and placed at the rotary presses to come into contact with the ink, which only adheres to the parts that have been engraved.
All the dark areas, the ink will stick to them.
Yeah, and the rest won't. When the paper makes contact, it's printed, right? Thanks. And at the same time, in another part of the printing house, the famous paper on which the newspaper will be printed is being loaded. We've just entered the cathedral, which, as you can see behind me, holds all the paper rolls used to print the newspaper. If unrolled, they could circle the Earth 1.5 times. That's incredible. And everything is automated, since there's a robot that, whenever they need one, comes to pick them up one by one and places them on a kind of rail that takes these rolls directly to the printing area, where they're then unrolled and inserted directly into the machines, and then everything starts up. When the paper touches the special plates with ink in certain areas, that's when printing occurs. And it's only when there's an addition change and some pages need to be different that they change some of the plates to allow for a different result. I'll let you enjoy this industrial experience with images and music because it's really fascinating to watch. After printing, all newspapers are moved to another room. That's where they will be gathered, packaged, and sorted so they can be loaded directly onto the trucks that will head out to all corners of Western France.
After the newspapers are loaded onto trucks, they're delivered to our distributors. These are companies we work with, and they take over the distribution of our newspapers. Distribution at points of sale and subscribers' homes is handled by newspaper carriers, aiming for mailbox delivery before 7 a.m. They usually arrive late due to a problem in the production chain, which can happen upstream. Our distributors are prepared to handle delays and have backup plans to uphold our promise to customers, which we are deeply committed to.
So, as you can see, making a newspaper is above all a huge human and logistical chain. Hundreds of people take turns from morning until the next morning to provide you with quality information. In this case, local news is available online, in your mailbox, or at your newsstand. That's it for this tour. It's late, but I hope you made some great discoveries with us. Thanks again to Ouest-France for inviting me.